Welcome back to the Locks and Sleepers video from locksdfs.com. I'm your host, Christian Hardy. We're going to run through some of my favorite plays on this NBA slate today. A very, very packed, busy 10-game NBA slate today. Before we do that, I just want to mention, we got MLB Pass up in the store right here. We're going to have month passes up soon, but for now we just have the season pass, and then we'll have a month opportunity for you guys later. But I mean, me and Addy will be doing that coming up soon, and tons of work to be done on MLB. So it'll be a busy month or so with NBA and MLB here, but should be a ton of fun. And baseball is obviously the sport that gets us going through the summer. So in terms of like being a degenerate and playing DFS, so come join us, get in the Slack, get all of the information that we use, and join us for that. And also wanted to mention the weekly giveaway. Of course, we're going to be getting back on these daily videos. So we will be doing giveaways, so if you want to win a free pass, it could be the baseball pass, it could be the basketball pass, whatever pass you would like. Drop a comment on this video with your favorite play of the day or commenting on one of the plays that I put in this video. Like and subscribe, and you will be entered to win that free pass, which we will announce on Twitter next Monday. Excuse me. Okay, let's kind of jump into this slate. I think that's pretty much all I wanted to say. So going over to, we're going to start on DraftKings, and really the first guy that I think most people are going to look at, I could be wrong, going to be Karl-Anthony Towns at 10-7 versus the Clippers. Clippers, a pace-up spot for Karl-Anthony Towns. They're fourth in pace over the last month. Timberwolves have the worst defense, and they play at a decent pace as well. So this game should really be bumped up in pace and in points and just scoring in general. There's a lot of plus scoring spots today, and this is one of them. Towns at 10-7, not a price that's too far out of reach, really, in today's slate. Clippers struggled versus centers all year. Really no one that scares me in defending Cat. And obviously you can see Cat has been absolutely exploding recently. That also helps kind of picking him, I guess, you know. He's a top cash out of the day for me. And there's also a few other ways you can go in this game. You know, like on the Clippers side, you've got Minnesota, the worst three-point shooting team in the league. I believe it's over the past month, but it could be over the season. I'm forgetting off the top of my head. But you've got Gallinari, Lou Williams, both going to shoot a decent amount of threes for the Clippers. So that's a good way to run it back. And then you've also got some guys from Minnesota. You've got Josh Okogie. We could see some ownership on Andrew Wiggins, although I'm not in love with Wiggins' price at 6.2 on DraftKings. Tyus Jones is there, but the guy I'm really looking at is going to be Josh Okogie at 4.5, playing over 30 minutes in each of these last 4 games, and shooting the ball quite a bit as well, which is kind of abnormal for him. So just to see him shoot the ball like this in 4 straight games in a pace-up spot against the Clippers, I really like it. Cat, not as much of a lock for me on FanDuel. Let's go over here real quick. He's just 11.8. It's just an expensive price to pay. So there's other guys you can play, and we'll start with the next guy that I'm going to talk about on both sites, and that is Julius Randle. So the benefit of me making this video a little bit late today is that we get the Anthony Davis is not expected to play with back spasms news. Randle, I believe, is averaging 1.34 fantasy points per minute on DraftKings without Drew Holiday and without Anthony Davis on the floor this year. Atlanta, bottom 5 in defensive efficiency, top 5 in pace. Obviously, New Orleans already runs at the top pace in the league, so we're going to see this game run frantically. Randle should be a massive, massive part of that. Obviously, the last 2 games, 21, 26 minutes, don't need to worry about those. Both were blowouts. This one should stay relatively close. And then, obviously, you also have Elfrid Payton being ruled in, and let's pull up his price. He's $8,000 on FanDuel and $7,600 on DraftKings. Payton also gets a pretty significant bump with those guys out, especially Drew, of course. We've seen, again, here, two down games, but this is a game that should stay closer against closer competition. And then also one other guy I wanted to mention for GPP purposes is Frank Jackson, a guy who has been shooting a ton, who gets a plus shooting matchup here against Atlanta. Bottom half in efficiency and obviously one of the highest in pace. Jackson has been out there and has been. I mean, even before his recent 3 games, he had been playing minutes really, really solidly since Drew has been out. So Elfrid's in, so we're not going to see Jackson really get a boost from that. But we still see Jackson get a boost from the pace of this game. And he does come in at, I believe, 5,000 over here, 5,100. So really like Frank Jackson. Probably more of a GPP play just because he's more of a shooter. So I'm kind of focusing on Randall and Elfrid Payton and Cash for the Pelicans. But definitely going to want some Pelicans. Definitely probably going to want to run it back with some Hawks. I mean, you've got Trae Young. And you've got John Collins. Probably not too high on him. I mean, Trae Young is probably the one that you're going to try to run it back with. I'm trying to pull up their team on here real quick. Trae Young's probably the one you're going to want to run it back with. I don't mind Prince. He's kind of similar to Frank Jackson. He's got the minutes. He's going to shoot a little bit, but I feel like the upside's a little bit capped with him, and I feel like you can get more shots, more upside with Frank Jackson around the same price. So if I'm going to run it back, I'm probably just going to go with Trae Young and leave it at that. Dedmon also works as well for me. Someone who's going to get minutes and should have more opportunities for rebounds, offensive putbacks, etc. Okay, so those are two studs you should look at: Karl-Anthony Towns, Julius Randle. And then I wanted to talk about one more on the Pelicans you can go down to, and that is Shaq Diallo. Anthony Davis, again, doubtful. Diallo, you see these few games here where he gets minutes. Usually going to be when AD is out. He's going to be around 24 to 28 minutes. I'd probably put him at in most games that AD is out. He's over a fantasy point per minute with AD out, 1.12. Actually, I believe he's around that even without AD. But pulling up his AD stats, he's a great fantasy point per minute producer. Only a 4.1, so a great value on the slate. And Atlanta's, again, bottom 5 defensive efficiency, bottom 5 pace. So you're going to want to target Pelicans on the slate, and we know Diallo's going to get minutes. If you want to go a little cheaper, you got Jahlil Okafor. He's not as a productive a producer, and I do imagine that him and Shaq will be splitting the minutes. So I'd probably just take the more productive side and take Shaq in this. But if you want to take Okafor, that is not going to be a terrible play. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about on this slate is going to be the Chicago Bulls. And we don't have all the news on the Bulls yet because we don't know about Chris Dunn, but he is doubtful to play. So we're out Levine, we're out Porter, we're outdone. We're already obviously out from the trade deadline. Otto Porter. So I pulled up their fantasy points per minute. Lauri is still coming in probably way too cheap at 6.7, even in a game where we saw Chicago absolutely get run by Utah in that last game. I mean, it was abysmal without all those guys. And it could be the same thing here. Toronto should run this team, and I'm actually curious. I'm surprised I didn't look it up, what the line is on this game. This isn't refreshed, I don't think. Especially with the Levine news and all of that. So, yeah, it's a 13.5-point line. It's looking like it's going to be a blowout, which scares me on Lauri because he didn't play at all in the fourth quarter the other day. But then again, you see 20 shots in 26 minutes. I mean, Lauri is going to get some heavy usage in this game, regardless if it's a blowout or not. It's just hoping you can get into the fourth quarter. Regardless, I think he's too cheap. I don't think you can depend on a blowout, and I think the 6.7 is just too cheap for a guy who, if the game is close, is going to play 34 minutes, maybe even 36. And he's averaging 1.2 fantasy points per minute. And that's with Dunn on the floor, by the way. Dunn is doubtful. I'm sure if you take Dunn out, it might bump up a little bit. I'm not going to do it for this purpose. But and then outside of Lauri, I'm not looking too much. I mean, we could see Archie get more minutes, but his minutes have just been not there for me recently. So I'm not too interested in Archie. Selden isn't very productive. So really that brings you to Shaq Harrison, who might end up being chalk again today. He's $4,400 on DraftKings, and let's pull up what he is on FanDuel real quick. $4,800, a little more expensive over here. Actually, the more I've looked at FanDuel today, it looks like the pricing is going to be tough. I'm very curious to see where ownership kind of lands over here because I have not looked too much. But on DraftKings, Shaq Harrison been getting big minutes. You can see 39, even the blowout. He played in that fourth quarter in the blowout, so I'm not concerned about his run. He's also going to start. So with Porter out, so this first game, the 32 minutes against Phoenix is when Porter went out. So 32 minutes, 39 minutes. So really solid for a guy who's 4K and who's averaging almost a fantasy point per minute. 0.86 fantasy points per minute with these guys off the floor over here. So he's probably my favorite value on the Bulls. And he works on FanDuel as well at that price. Just because he's getting minutes, and he's not a terrible fantasy points per minute producer by any means. and then Lore would be my next pick. And I think you could play him in cash and a GPP. So, all right, I'm gonna leave it at that. We'll have lots more plays, of course, in the lock sheet. So you can find your MLB pass. You can find your other passes right here in the shop. NBA season pass, $100. Month pass to all of our sports, $50. Come join us. Come play some DFS with us. Let us help you. Jump in our Slack chat. Start talking about, with our boy Poop Baller. Just come chat with us. And, get in here. Get with Locks. And we'll see you guys next time on the Locks and Sleepers video. Thanks for joining.